Distributed by Santiago Castillo Limited.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100 key. No stress, no waiting, just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go?
Thank you very much for joining us on this beautiful Monday morning. It is 7:23 in the studios of PlusTV and across the nation of Belize. It's certainly a pleasure to come into your homes. Today is August the 10th. It is Monday, so it is the second full week of August. That's right. In 2 weeks' time, kids go back to school, elementary school, high school opens up. I understand that some of the post-secondary institutions are opening back up today, and so parents are breathing a sigh of relief as their kids are either in the final days of holiday or are already getting ready to head back to school. Teachers, on the other hand, have started some of their professional development seminars. Last week there was one held in Belize City that dealt with more technical and technological advancements in education that can be used to enhance the classroom experience. AI, artificial intelligence, is certainly here to stay. It gobbles up a lot of energy, we understand, and a lot of data centers are popping up, use a lot of natural resources such as water, etc., to cool them down. There's a lot of processing that is taking place to make AI possible, but that's not technology that's going to go anywhere or is going to disappear. It's going to become more and more prevalent in every single area of our lives. And it's already affecting many industries, including certain creative fields. Who would have thought that the creative field would have been invaded? The academic field has also been invaded by AI technology, and many other industries will feel the pinch. However, as it settles down, I certainly believe that AI will advance human society forward. We will have to deal with the issue of work, and because human beings need work, not just to make money, but work is a part of value, creating value for the human being. But it is very good that teachers, I understand about 50 or 60 teachers showed up for that particular seminar, and they were learning how to use AI in the work that they do. And I think that is very good. So it's getting near to back to school time, or it is actually back to school time. Now, what does the day look like? Early this morning it was raining. I was wondering what kind of day we were going to have, but here we are. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. That golden ray of sunshine is out, and I think we're going to have a beautiful day. So let's take a look at the weather report before we look at all of the activities that took place over the weekend. Politics, the courts, BTL and SMART. any accidents, traffic that took place. So we are going to look at what happened across the entire nation and what this week that's coming looks like. So for today, August 10th, as of 6 a.m. this morning, the general situation called for relatively dry conditions to prevail, and then the conditions will become somewhat moist and unstable tonight. For the next 24 hours, we can expect mostly sunny skies today, with only isolated showers or thunderstorms developing. It will be cloudy at times tonight with a few showers or thunderstorms over the south at first, and then it will spread to most areas after midnight. Marine conditions, the state is expected to be choppy because winds will be blowing from the east at 10 to 20 knots, and we can expect waves between 3 to 5 feet. Now, temperatures, we always start inland because the capital city of Belmopan and where we live, PlusTV broadcasts from the capital city, Belmopan. We are inland, and so the highs for today will be 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The lows was 74 degrees earlier this morning, which is kinda high. It's a kinda warm for early morning, but it's gonna heat up to about 95 degrees inland. Meanwhile, on the coast, 89 degrees Fahrenheit is going to be the highs. The lows was 81. And in the hills, we can expect 82 degrees Fahrenheit as the high, and 68 was the low early this morning. The outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night is for generally cloudy skies with a few showers and thunderstorms over most areas. The tropical weather outlook, that's the last part of our report for this morning. No tropical cyclone formation is expected in the region for the next 48 hours. So we know that for Belize, hurricane, even though we have hurricane season from June to November, it is later in the year, end of August, September, October, that we tend to see more activity closer to Belize. So I continue to remind you that we are slowly edging into the period of time when tropical cyclone activity increases in our area, and there are more chances that they can travel into the Caribbean basin and can affect us. At least so far, it's been a very good year, hurricane season. The problem that we are having on the coastline is the amount of sargassum, seaweed as we call it, that is accumulating on the coast. Millions of dollars are being spent to try to clean up these sargassum tides that come in, but it is a thankless job. It's a never-ending job, and it is also as a result of the warming of the seas. So algae blooms because the seaweed it's an algae. It's not really a plant. Algae blooms occur they increase depending on the amount of temperature in the water and the amount of nutrients that are available to them. So as we continue to see global warming, we can expect that there's just going to be more sargassum blooms that come into our coastline. Now, if there were some way to stop it farther out so that it doesn't hit the coastline, that would be good. But there are countries that are trying to experiment with making blocks, using it as landfill, and trying to find creative ways to deal with the algae problem. The problem, however, is that when sargassum breaks down, it produces several poisonous gases. We don't even talk about the fact that the smells stink, but that there is a lot of hydrogen sulfide that is created when it breaks down. And that creates a problem for our respiratory system. The pictures that you are seeing right now is actually in Belize City itself as it relates to the canals which are linked to the sea. So this is like you're moving a kind of debris that you did not have to move before, plus the other debris that you had before are still there. So essentially that's an increased cost to either the Belize City Council or San Pedro Town Board. They do have more resources, but you have villages like Placencia, Hopkins, and these villages, they are not city councils, they are not town boards. They have to find the funds to clean up their beaches. Now, one of the laws that the government has passed has been the rural tax system, trade licenses for rural areas. So normally, the taxing system is found in the municipalities. So Belize City, Belmopan, and the 7 other municipalities, there are 9 municipalities in the country. These municipalities get some of their funding from government, but most of their funding comes from trade licenses, liquor licenses, and then of course the other property taxes that are generated. People who live in rural areas, villages, and in the general rural areas, live on farmland, agricultural land, etc., they do not pay a property tax. They may pay a very fractional land tax to the central government, but they do not pay a tax that goes to the village council. There is no garbage fee in villages. There is also no trade license in villages. There is a liquor license for villages, but it's collected in the municipalities, in the towns, and then it's given to the villages, and that's all the money that villages have, unless they have a area representative who is in government, who has a ministry that can take some of the finances from that ministry and kind of allocate it for village use. That itself has to be done within the scope of the law, and every area representative is also given a community vote, additional funding that is to be used in the carrying out of their constituency work. This is by no means a lot of money, but it can help villages. So the new legislation means that every single business in a village is going to now have to pay a trade license. And there are villages like Ladyville, which is going to benefit, Independence, Bella Vista. These are very huge communities along the George Price Highway between Belmopan and San Ignacio, Benquevejo. There are lots of villages, and these businesses will now start to pay a tax that is going to go towards the development of the villages. So I think we can expect with this new tax that there will be faster development taking place in the villages. The team from Ministry of Rural Development will be here to explain how that tax system works, and so we will have them either later this week or early next week. Now, what other bills are passing through the House? The education bill, which is a very, very large bill, is passing through the House, and today, this morning to be specific, the committee that is responsible for looking at the education bill will be meeting, and it's a meeting where Belizeans, be it parents, teachers, teacher associations, the church can go in and make presentation to this committee in regards to what they like about parts of the bill, what they don't like about parts of the bill. So the education bill is making its way through the House, and then it will come to the Senate. Now, there is a particular system that is called the BMIS, and there is a collecting information collecting and storing system that has been implemented and it's moving into legislation that I do have some concerns about, because I think that it is necessary to track the academic performance of a child through the school system. So how did the child do in Infant 1, Standard 4, First Farm, Third Farm? We need the academic records of that child to be preserved. They get A in a maths, B in a something. These types of things are necessary. But I think that we need to take a closer look at the other things that this system wants to be able to track. Should children be able to answer questions that will be stored in a particular system that deals with parents, that deals with brothers and sisters that are not in the school system, deal with the economics of the home, deal with the religion and religious issues and values of the home? Should the child become like some kind of collecting information agency for the government of Belize? And how long should those pieces of information be stored? Certainly, we already have a system in our census and in our SIB, Statistical Institute of Belize, that keeps track of the economics of our country. But these pieces of data, they don't write Louis Wade, 4 children, economic status, profession, etc. No, these pieces of information, they are not attached to your name. So the government already has a system, institutions already have a system through the SIB, Statistical Institute of Belize, that can store information, that can give the country the kind of information that it needs without attaching a name to it. So I'm just mentioning it this morning because this is a concern of mine. We live in a day and a time when artificial intelligence, with the use of artificial intelligence and hacking, that people can enter into data that is not properly protected and can harvest that information for negative purposes. And so the kind of information that our children is taking to school, and then the government and schools are harvesting it and storing it for later use, I have a problem with it as I understand the legislation at this time, because the information about your household is literally now attached to a name. Unlike the Statistical Institute of Belize, where it is not attached to a name, it is raw data that can eventually tell you percentage of Catholic, percentage of Anglican, percentage of male versus female, percentage of marriage versus single versus common law. And this information is good and is needed, but it is not linked to a private individual or a private family. And this, based on what I am reading, it is directly related to your child, and then which means it is directly related to you. So we need to take a closer look at that aspect of the education bill that is passing through the House, because we need in our country to be serious about privacy. What is the information that government must have and store regarding the country, and what piece of information should be private, that you and you alone, maybe your doctor should know, but that particular system should not be connected to any other system. And so privacy of and information requires a closer look. Last week, or late last week, there was an announcement that the registry, the company's registry was hacked into. And that means that information which we could not access before is now available to some group of people that should not have access to it. And because that information was poorly stored, then it was hacked. And that information is now out on the dark web, which means that people can buy it, people can sell it, or sometimes they come right back to the organization or to that company, to that registry and say, give us $5 million, $10 million, and we will give you back your information. We will assure you that it has not been used. So sometimes there are these negotiations that occur, but it's done for money, it's done for information. Now, I do also suspect that the timing of the hacking is very interesting because it occurs at a time when the country is up in arms against the sale of Smart to BTL. Who really owns Smart? How are the shares really divided? When it comes to Starlink and the next technology that is coming out, who is going to be the companies that own them? And as the media, we do not have access to this information. So I'm very suspicious this morning as to, was there a motive related to what is taking place in the country today that created the hack on the company's registry, and what that information is going to be used for? We are going to know. We are going to know, because if it was hacked for the purposes of Belize, then I think the information is going to come out over time. But now, if it was hacked just to go on the dark web and for information to be bought and sold, I don't know what is going to happen, because we don't know who are the players behind that particular hack. So things are happening in Belize. So education, this BMIS system, we need to take a closer look at it. How did it move into law? What information it already has on it? Do parents know that this information is already being collected by the Ministry of Education? And then if this is information that they can prove that they need, how can we properly secure it to ensure that that information does not come out? And then the next question is going to be, how long should that information be kept? After a child finishes their education, when should that information be scrubbed from the system? All of this I did not find in the legislation as I reviewed this document. Now, this document is not yet at the Senate. It is still at the House. And as I said earlier, the committee meets today. What other groups have been meeting? Social partners have been meeting. Churches, the unions, the Chamber of Commerce, which at this particular point in time is really taking the lead as it relates to the sale of Smart to BTL and where it is right now. And then, of course, the BNN, which is the Belize Network of NGOs. These four organizations that are also represented in the Senate and are also sit on various government boards for the purpose of transparency. That is why they're there, for the purpose of transparency. These groups have been meeting to try to create synergy in the fight against the government's move to recreate this monopoly of BTL. The cabinet is going to meet tomorrow. Cabinet meets tomorrow. Cabinet normally meets on Tuesdays, and we can see already that several prominent ministers have spoken against the acquisition. What do I mean by spoken against? They're not saying that this is not good, but they are actually saying that the people need to be involved, some kind of a referendum. that people need to be properly consulted. It is very clear that Social Security wants it to happen. They believe that it is going to increase their share value. It is also very clear that the employees of BTL want it to happen. I am not sure what they have been promised. Better benefits, job security, I don't know, but it is clear that they see a benefit in it. And then, of course, I understand that the minority shareholders, which are Belizeans that may have bought shares many, many years ago, are holding on to their shares. The representative, Yusi is his last name, Mr. Yusi, don't know his first name, but he voted yes on behalf of shareholders. And so these entities see the monopoly as an advantage. The problem is that the creation of a monopoly will obviously create profits. It will obviously create profits. But we live in a day and a time when companies need to be able to produce profit with competition. So the absorbing, swallowing up, elimination of your competition, especially when there were only two and there will be one, is, I believe, significantly problematic to the economic development of Belize, which is why these groups have come together and continue to speak, to lobby, to protest, and we will see how this week goes in that. So Tuesday, tomorrow, Cabinet is going to meet. Will they be presented with information? We will need to take a closer look at how that Cabinet meeting takes place. Now, I was just watching a very short piece of the Jules Vasquez's beef on his channel, and I get the impression that I was discussed once again as it relates to my position as church senator and the fact that I did not walk out of the Senate along with my colleagues. I think I have spoken about it last week. I did a couple of interviews, which was aired on Channel 5, Creme FM, Love FM, and PlusTV. We did not get an our interview was not requested by Channel 7. So I think they can, as far as I'm concerned, Jules and Channel 7 can continue to spin whatever storyline they would like. I think that Belizeans who know me, those of you who watch Rise and Shine, those of you who are from the church community, you understand very clearly why I did not walk out. And I have made it very clear that I do not intend in the future either to walk out of the Senate. If the church is not comfortable with my position, they are free to remove me as a senator. So every comment that I have received so far has endorsed my reasons for staying. And so I am very comfortable with the decision that I made. And as I have stated, not only did I not walk out, I have no intention of walking out in the future. Now, walking out by my three colleagues, I have not said anything negative about their decision to walk out. I believe that They have the freedom to use whatever means and methodology they feel comfortable with that sends a message to the government. And I believe that I have the authority to do exactly the same. We live in a democracy, and we don't believe in a follow foot. You are able to, as a Belizean, in any position, you don't have to follow everybody else if you are not convinced that it is the best approach. That is a part of what is wrong in our community, where people don't have the backbone to live their convictions, to be able to say, I do not believe that is the best way forward, and I will not support. My colleagues walked out on the basis of thinking that the quorum for Senate is 7, so if they walked out, there would not be a quorum and that the Senate would stop. They do not know the law. The law which regulates the Senate, the quorum is not 7, it is 3. I want to repeat that. I heard the good Senator Faber talk about Louis Wade should have walked out with us because he staying allowed Senate to continue. In other words, that we kept the 7. That is not true. If only 3, in other words, if we were able to convince 3 PUPs to also walk out with the UDPs and independent senators, once 3 people remained in the chamber, the Senate could have continued. And so this is what happens when we follow people who don't even understand the value of what they are doing. So as it relates to the decision for me to stay in Senate and not to walk out is because, again, I do not represent myself. I represent the church, and the church does not walk away from negotiation. The church does not walk away when there is a problem, when there is a dispute. The church takes it on head on, takes it on respectfully, takes it on gracefully. So we try not to break the law or break the rules as we negotiate and dictate the way forward. I feel exactly the same way that my colleagues feel about the acquisition of SMART. I do not support it, and I have said so, and I will continue to say so because I have not changed my mind from January. However, strategy and how we go about disagreeing is vital to the church. And I represent 2 groups of churches. I represent NEAB, the National Evangelical Association of Belize, and I represent the Council of Churches. And to date, the Council of Churches has not formalized a position on the BTL issue, but NEAB has formalized a position on the BTL issue. So I do not represent only NEAB or only the Council of Churches, I represent both. And so, because a primary group and a key group of the constituency that I represent have not formalized a position, they have not publicized a position, then I must act on behalf of all parties and not on my own. Should the day come that I believe that we have given sufficient information to the Council of Churches, etc., and I believe that it's time for me to move forward in my own personal position, I am going to do that. But until then, we need to give our my constituents, those who have me there, the opportunity. So we are independent senators. We are not a political party. We are not a political party. So I need to be very careful that I represent all of my colleagues. Secondly, I have made it very clear that my philosophical position is that we should not walk out of Senate, because the Senate is the highest place where we can speak about the issues of the day. The entire purpose of Parliament is for speaking to take place on the issues of the day. Like, that is higher than media. It is higher than any other form of collective discourse that the nation can have. So never in the history of the Belize Senate have senators walked out. So we can ask ourselves, so why is it that there was a walkout this time? And I believe that there are several factors that came together to create the walkout that I did not participate in and will not participate in the future. So there are several factors that took place, including the fact that we need to ask ourselves the question that in the light of the fact that there have been many controversies, many major problems in our country, there have been many different disagreements, corruption charges, etc., yet the Senate has never walked out. It's because, in my opinion, we lived in a time when senators understood the role of the Senate in discourse of national issues. So if things are changing, maybe it's changing. So, but I feel quite comfortable. I check my pulse and I check everything. I feel confident that I made the right decision, and so that's good enough for me. Now, as we move forward, there are many areas that I will be able to collaborate with those who do not support the BTL campaign to purchase SMART. I am one of the persons who don't agree with it. And so you will get to see me, you will get to hear me, you will get to hear my comments on the issue. But at the same time, I do not support violence, and I do not support the breaking of the law to carry out what needs to be carried out. So I need to say that again, moving forward. The church is different. The church must be different. And as much as I have worked with the church in bringing victory to the nation in many areas, marijuana, equal opportunity bill, we have a Kikaka referendum. I have worked with the church and with the communities. We will maintain respect. We will maintain respect and the proper way of doing things. So that's my commitment. And those who have a problem with that, I encourage you to write to the people who put me there. I serve at their request. I did not say I want to be a senator. I was approached and asked if I could represent the church in this area, and that's it. I'm comfortable with that. But as I said, as time goes by, you will hear me more in the public domain explaining why we do not support. And I believe in action. I think all of you know I believe in action, but it's going to be lawful. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that terrible accident that occurred in Belize City. We also want to talk about the pollution that took place that's killing not only the fishes, but it's also killing, I understand, crocodiles, turtles, etc. So there's more to talk about when we return, and we'll be right back after these messages. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Rise and Shine on PlusTV. We'll be right back.
If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100# key. No stress, no waiting, just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
What we see on the streets today begins in the home. It begins with family. Children who grow up in a stable environment where they can play and learn safely are the building blocks of strong communities. To construct those strong communities, our country needs real men. A lot of youth growing up don't understand what that is. Real men are providers and protectors. Real men are responsible and hardworking. Real men spend quality time with their families and raise strong children with values. They teach their children honesty and integrity, discipline and commitment, love of country, accountability for their actions, right and wrong. Real men run things. Aspire to be a real man today, because gang life isn't it. Gang life is no life.
A message from the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Violence Prevention and Enforcement Unit.
Wake up! Wake up! Now which cheese you think you may eat all the while? Gallo cheese with the blue rooster on the label is the traditional and the real deal. The original Dutch, redback or hard cheese in a Belize. Be aware. Check your label and make sure it is in English and for the Belize market. Gallo cheese with the blue rooster. The real deal.
Gaia Edam Dutch cheese, aged and tropicalized, the best formula for the Belize market. Distributed by Santiago Castillo Limited.
I'm a licensed electrician for 15 years. Safety is always an electrician #1 priority. I shop at Benny's. Benny's give me high quality, durable material. Cheaper doesn't mean safety. Cheaper means danger. When I think about safety, I think about Benny's. Remember, at Benny's, quality is saving.
Best
Welcome to the William David Fonseca Parking Facility, your modern solution for safe and convenient parking in downtown Belize City. With easy payment options such as prepaid cards or coins, parking downtown has never been easier. Enjoy affordable rates as low as 75 cents for 15 minutes, $1.50 for 30 minutes, and $3 for an hour. Open and available 24/7. Park smart. Park safe. Park at the William David Fonseca Parking Facility. Modern, secure, convenient. Your Belize City Council. Always about the people.
Cada conexión es más que solo una señal, es un estudiante abriendo las puertas a su futuro a través de la educación digital. Una mente joven atreviéndose a soñar en grande. Nuestra cultura compartida con el mundo en tiempo real. Y héroes cotidianos respondiendo al llamado del deber cívico. Cuando nos conectamos con Digi, empoderamos a Belice.
So it started off like any other summer day in Belize. I decided to go down to Builders Hardware since I heard they had 25% off on summer outdoor products. I got a couple of items, a chair, a grill, a cooler, and I got carried away, but the prices were so good. But anyways, I might have gotten comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Then I saw the news, and the hurricane season was not playing with me. But thank God Builders also had 25% off hurricane preparedness items as well. Flashlights, batteries, sealant, first aid kits, everything I need. And guess what? My grill survived.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like me.
It's after 8 o'clock on a beautiful August the 10th morning. We are live. It's Monday. Yes, I'm here by myself. But I know that you are here with me, 822-2031, the number to call, 610-5679 for text messages. I'm receiving some text messages, 610-5679. I said earlier in the last segment that we are going to see what takes place at Cabinet. It's very clear that at least a couple of ministers that I've heard their comments seem to not favor the acquisition. This is the recreation of a monopoly. We need to understand that. No monopoly is good for a country, and especially if an industry has moved out of monopoly and has been able to sustain two large companies competition, then that can persist into the future. BTL is claiming that they are doing good profit-wise. Smart is claiming they are doing good profit-wise. Okay. You know, so are you doing good or are you not doing good, right? Are you doing well or you're not doing well? It's like they want to say we are doing so well that you don't have to worry about it. But we are not doing well, so we need to buy. So they're both doing well and not doing well. And of course, we know Starlink is coming. Last week, I gave my 5 reasons, and we are creating it into a chart that we will be placing on the internet this week. I just haven't had the opportunity to review it because it's about 5. We've edited it down to 5 minutes. My 5 reasons why I do not support the sale. But it was said last week, so I need to review it to make sure just to make sure that I'm on top of things, and then we are going to release it. Now, a lot of other things have been taking place, and the United Democratic Party did have convention this weekend in Benke, United Democratic Party, and so they already know now what their slate is going to look like to contest elections in Benke. Now, Benke is traditionally a United Democratic Party stronghold. Erin Contreras was in charge of that for many years. It moved over to PUP, briefly moved back over to UDP, and so we will see what the mayoral race in Benke is going to be. In San Ignacio, the People's United Party is putting a lot of resources in that constituency to try to see if they can unseat 5-time mayoral mayor and mayoral candidate Earl Trapp, and of course the PUP's rising star Aaron Mai is for the first time, he is in the council, and for the first time will contest the seat, the mayoral seat. I think he probably was one of the leading vote receivers in the previous election for the People's United Party. So we are going to see how San Ignacio is going to play out. In Belmopan, the People's United Party appears that it's going to keep the very same slate under Mayor Pablo Carich, and we see that even though the candidates for the United Democratic Party, as it relates to councillor candidate, has not been selected, apparently that may go into a convention. We're not sure, but the person who has stepped up for the mayoral position is Galvez. So we will see how that one is going to play out in Belmopan. Is it Isidoro? Isidoro Galvez. All right. So he's well known in Belmopan, and especially in the sports community. The 6K tournament, football tournament, has really taken off in the capital city of Belmopan. So it's not an unknown person that is vying for the position. The question is whether or not sufficient development has taken place in Belmopan. Cleaning of Belmopan has occurred to the point where the residents are comfortable and want Mayor Kawich to continue. Belmopan has had its issue with area representative Mira, who is the focal point of the controversy with the under $10,000 invoice disbursements in the Ministry of Defense. So controversy has ripped Belmopan for the last couple of months, and so we will see if between now and March. Remember, we are in August, you know, so anything can happen. August, September, October, November, January, February. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time in politics for Belmopan, for San Ignacio, etc. Now, Toledo, that PG that was a mess for the People's United Party. I don't know what the UDP are going to do, but the amount of candidates that I hear that are going up for PG, different slates again, from the new area rep, Dr. Martinez versus. That's all I will say at this time. But in Corozal, that's the Corozal one that we also want to look at, because that occurred over this weekend, where Minister Tia, she decided that she wanted to put up a slate against Rigo Vega. Rigo is a 3-time winning mayor, and he wanted to go a 4th time. Now, politics and democracy. We are a democratic nation, but the question is, do we always act democratically? Now, I don't like to delve into partisan political problems. I need to make that clear. On Rise and Shine, we will talk politics outside of the political parties. Like, we can talk PUP, UDP, we talk government, opposition, we talk about that. But the internal dynamics of political parties, that is not, we don't normally go there, except when it boils over into the public domain. And in Cayo, Mrs. Hernandez, who's been a councillor for longer probably than Mayor Trapp has been mayor, Bernadette Hernandez, she wanted to run again, but the United Democratic Party had said we're going to have an open convention, everybody will need to run again. And all of a sudden, Ms. Bernadette was like, if that's going to happen, I'm not going to run. So there was a lot of internal upheaval, and then before you know it, they will run for certain seats, but Ms. Bernadette gets to keep her seat because she's an incumbent. She run or win all the time. And so that happened in Cayo with the UDP. So the PUP, apparently in Corozal, they took a whole different approach. They said, Rigo, you want to run 3 times, but you have to prove your weight. And the powers that be in the People's United Party decided that they will put their hat behind this new slate. Now, when you think about the Northern Caucus, you have Tia, who is the area representative. Then you have the Prime Minister, who is a part of the Northern Caucus. I think that must have looked pretty intimidating for Mayor Rigo. That must have looked pretty intimidating. But, oh my goodness, when the results came out last night, Rigo beat them all. Rigo beat them all. Now, as I said, I don't like to go deep into internal politics of political parties. But here's what I think. I think that if you say that you are a truly democratic party, you should not have sacred cows. We are the convention here. We don't do no convention here. We are select the 7. We're going up here. Yeah, we don't have to fight it out. To me, either your position is that if you run and you win and you want to run again, you should run. Or your position should be fight it out every time, go to convention every time. To me, either or. But this thing of where both political parties decide, over here, convention, over here, no convention, whatever. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. But it's none of my business because I do not delve into internal political party affairs. I don't. But in the United States, right, which has a better structure of its democratic institutions than in Belize, it doesn't matter how long a person they run. If another person wants to challenge them, have your convention and you move forward. It's purest form of democracy. And it's standard, right? That's how it is. But here in Belize, like for certain people, they will not have convention, but then for certain people, you go in the convention. And I think that is what creates the animosity. I think that is what creates the animosity. Because like, well, how you allow their one over there for just run, but I have to fight for my seat. To me, it is the lack of a policy that creates the internal strife. It's not the fact that you will have a convention that creates the internal strife. To me, it is the unuga clear, you have to fight it out. Rigo, you're going to have to fight it out. To me, that is what creates division. But again, it's none of my business. But to me, it should be all or none, as opposed to that pick and choose, right? Now, these political parties might have their reasons for why they pick and choose. But I can tell you that if you're the pick and choose in a one area, then Rigo is like a superstar. He's like a superstar. It automatic. I'm not from Corozal, but it automatically means that he was a very good mayor. He was a very good mayor, because you all in the PUP, you try to unseat him, and he put it on the whole crew. Put it on the whole crew, and came out victorious with his slate. So I don't have the official numbers, but I was browsing through the internet and I was able to pick up some numbers. And let's see here, the numbers that I was able to pick up says that Rigoveros received 1,799 votes. Rigoveros. And I said Vega, but it's Veos. My apologies. Earlier I said Vega, not Veos. And then Shajari Rogers, who was the person who challenged Rigo, received 1,179, right? So Rigo beat her by over 600 votes. That's a lot of votes. Now, they only anticipated that about 2,000 people would show up for that convention. But instead, over 3,000 people showed up for that convention, which shows that, one, it was very controversial. Two, the people decided that they wanted to send a message to their leaders, Tia, as well as to the entire Northern Caucus. People came up and said, we are teaching us something, lessons to learn. Because they say Belizeans don't know where they do, but when Belizeans know how to lash when they're ready for lash. I our old man, and I live long enough to say that when Belizean tired of you and they plan for lash you know and get away from that lashing. Councillors, Puro Gonzalez, 1,957 votes. Otonel Riverol, 1,956 votes. Miguel Montalvo, 1,911 votes. Marlene Tapia, 1,897 votes. Baldemar Pech, 1,905 votes. Rodolfo Narvaez, 1,857 votes. And then you see a drop. Look between the 1,008, look, you see a drop, right, to 1,003. And if you look at those two numbers, it's about 500 to 600. Can you see that? You see the drop right there between Rodolfo Narvaez and Teram Riverol. You see the drop by 500 to 600 votes, which you can take right back to Rigo and see that he won by roughly that very same margin. And so, do political parties learn their lesson after a lashing like this? I don't know. But remember, you know, a lot of Corozal used to be a UDP stronghold, you know. Used to be a UDP stronghold. It's moved over to People's United Party. How deeply it has moved from UDP to UDP, from UDP to PUP, how deeply it has moved as an entirety is left to be seen. It will be seen in March. However, it's very clear with a turnout like 3,000 people that is that's a very big plus for the People's United Party, like the margin of people that came out. It's still good news, even though the part of the party that did not support Rigo got a good lashing. It's showing that there is a very, very popular there's a very popular mayor that is in. And I want to say this, that Rigo built his own platform. You see this person, Riverol, it's a woman. And then Tia is a woman. And the person that Tia unseated was a woman. But first it was a man. It was David Vega. That's where the Vega came in. Because David Vega is the person who Corozal fell in love with. But he died, he passed away, and his sister was the person who decided to run instead. So David died, and Elvira Vega Samos is the person who said, let me run for my brother. And she won. David was a friend of mine. He was super friendly guy. I met him when he was a teacher at Corozal Community College. The people just loved him. His sister won on that account. However, when it was time for re-election, that is when Tia Garcia came and challenged Elvia. And it was at that point that Elvia Samos was complaining. She was saying, hey, like, I win, like, I want to go again. Why you to run against me? And the powers that came behind Tia, and Tia won. That's a history. That's the political history of Corozal. And so now Tia, who has won the position from Elvia, decided, okay, now I beat Elvia, it's time to go for Rigo. And so she put a woman there. She put a woman to go after Rigo, and the woman lost. Now, that woman who lost was not running on her own platform. She was running on the Tia Garcia platform. So it shows, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, man, I really gone too deep into this thing already, that Tia is not doing enough in Corozal to gain the legitimate area rep power that is able to move elections. She doesn't have it yet. That, to me, that's what that's showing. Because Rigo was able to trump her. So literally, Rigo could literally say at the next election, I will run against Tia. And you have a clash. Now, as I said, I don't know, 1 month might be a long time in politics, much less 3 years or whatever it is. So I'm not saying. But to me, just looking from the outside in, Tia has more work to put in to her constituency. And so, like it's, Corozal is still at play because of internal political strife. So those are observations from the outside of what took place in Corozal. So, in my opinion, the real leader of PUP in Corozal town is Rigo Veos. We have a call. Let's take that call. Oh man, this is so good. Please, you give me a little break with my with my talking. I need a water break, please. What are you doing to me? You're not going calls. Do we have the caller? We lost the call. Now, I will read what Elvia posted, Samos. Boy, this politics thing is brutal. It's brutal. This is what she said. Life has a way of bringing things full circle. The way you treat people, the pain you cause, the lies you tell, and the hearts you break don't simply disappear. I know I read the whole thing. But you can see that healing has not occurred. And these internal rifts, but that was a direct attack. So how else should Rigo interpret it? And then if you anticipate 2,000 people to come out to your convention and 3,000 people came out, something is driving them at the core as to why so many people came out, and you need to address that. Let's take the call. Carla, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Pastor Wade. Good morning, Pastor Wade. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Don Hector. Go ahead and speak.
I have been listening to you very clearly. You have made a perfect analysis of Corozal. I have a vast experience in electoral matters. You have described it very clearly. This was the culminate position of the party. Again, it has happened in other areas. But for example, let's go to what you just said. Rigo Veos was the underdog in the higher-ups because the representative had a choice of candidates. I don't think Ms. Rogers just decided to go and challenge Rigo just like that. No. There was a force that caused this challenge. Rigo had the support of the people down on the street. But the power lied on the other candidate, which is Ms. Rogers. It was a test of who is who in Corozal.
Yeah.
I saw this whole saga from the beginning. I saw whereby the little thing began to undermine Rigo with projects in the town. I understand many places were repaired, painted outside Rigo's responsibility. But here comes what you said, lessons to learn. You mentioned, I heard that word you said, lessons to learn. Yes, these are other lessons to learn. In the past, we had bigger experiences like this. For example, our great leader, John Kill Price. He was practically undefeated, without any question. But this matter began to boil from underneath. So in 1984, when the election was called after the great, glorious day of independence, when actually the PUP should have been crowned forever for having attained independence, our great leader, Jack Price, went down. And he was badly defeated by a young, unknown person named David Eichmann.
Yeah.
Lessons to learn. This is what politicians must understand. We do not have absolute powers over the people. The people make up their minds. There is a saying that elections are won at election day. So we have learned that conventions are won on convention day. Because the thing that I kept reading on Facebook is that Rigo was going down. Only so few voices came out, they said, no, Rigo is the man. But the general public, by perception, saw that Rigo has no chance.
Yeah.
The powers were against Rigo. So here again, we learn that lesson. Don't underestimate people. People have a way of showing their disgust in many ways. And I think that this was, in Corozal, was a sign that there is not much happiness in the setup in Corozal at the moment. So Rigo got that big victory. I call it big because it's very big. I mean, I thought that that would have been a very close convention, but no, it was very distant, very large margin in a small community. So I salute Rigo Vale. I have been also an activist, very activist in my days. I witnessed many things in every district of this country of similarities like this. Thank you very much, Pastor Will.
Thank you very much, Don Hector. Thank you for your call this morning, 822-2031, to join our conversation this morning. So that's Corozal. That's a little politics that I have for this morning. I want to talk about Savannah Field Station's post as it relates to the Belize River fish kill. A fish kill occurs with various factors. Every fish kill should be of utmost importance to the nation of Belize, and in our case, it occurred in the most important river, which is the Belize River. And that Belize River is where many communities receive their water for drinking purposes. So a fish kill in the Belize River is very big news, and it is an environmental concern. Now, the last press release from the Department of Environment is saying that they still have not tapped into the source of that fish kill. But Savannah Field Station, which appears to be an NGO, and people who are not afraid to post publicly their observations of the fish kill. Do we have any of the photographs ready? They posted some photographs, and they posted some information on their Facebook page yesterday, Sunday, in which they said, we spent yesterday on the Belize River investigating the fish die-off because they were out of the country until Friday night. Now, there you can see a turtle is dead. So this is not just a fish kill-off. So listen to me carefully. Fishes live in the water, and fishes breathe the water. They filter the air with their gills in the water. And so, if the problem was the oxygen concentration falling, then we understand that fish would die. But turtles are not. And look here, this is a crocodile. Crocodiles do not breathe air out of the water. They do not extract oxygen out of the water. The crocodile is a carnivore, but the turtle is mostly herbivorous. So, what happens for oxygen depletion in a pond or in a river? It would have been hard to have an oxygen depletion in a river because the river is moving. But there has to be a mass or sudden drop in oxygen level. Most of the time, that is caused by increased algae, and the increased algae or an algae bloom is caused because of organic means. In other words, a lot of fertilizer or some other organic material got into the water. The algae fed on it. The algae become very populated, and they suck the oxygen out of the water, and the fishes begin to die because they don't have enough oxygen. All right? So that is if it's organic, if it's a herbicide. If it's fertilizer, if it's something organic, it creates an algae bloom. The algae sucks out the oxygen level falls, the fish die. This that you are seeing here is something else. So either very hot water, like from a factory, very hot water got poured directly into that area of the Belize River, and the temperature rose very fast, very significantly, and as a result of that very high temperature of water poured into that area of the river, it killed everything. It killed everything. So when environment go there and they test the water, everything will seem normal, because after you don't push the hot water into the river, it cooled down. But during the period of time while this very, very hot water entered into the river, everything that hot water came in contact with died. But when you go back and you test the water, you will not find chemical traces, because it wasn't a chemical that killed the life, the wildlife. It was water, and they're in water, so there was a temperature escalation, and then the water eventually cooled down, but by that time, everything dead. And that way, that's how you can get alligator dead. That's how you could get a turtle for dead. Belize is not a volcanic area. So we can't say, boy, one geothermal spring appear and it push hot water into the river and the fish dead. So this is not a natural disaster. This is not a organic, agricultural. You normally do your fertilization, where big rain come, wash everything into the river. You never mean it. The water come up, the algae come up, oxygen drop, and fish dead. Because turtle never man dead, alligator never man dead. So it's either water, a thermal event, or it can be a chemical event. Chemicals, inorganic chemicals leaked out. But this is man. This is not natural. This is human. So I find it very strange that the Department of Environment up to now can't find the culprit. I find it strange, because it's going to come from a factory. It's not necessarily going to come from an agricultural field, because of the extent of the death, the species that died. And if it's chemical, inorganic chemical, they should have the tests that can be taken to see if the water is contaminated with these chemicals. Because now a chemical leak into the water would have killed both fish and alligator as well. So this is not an oxygen depletion issue. It may be a thermal issue, heat related, and it can also be chemical, inorganic chemical. So I don't know of any other reasons, maybe like explosion, explosion in the water. You know how some of them guys hunt not sure. Some of the indigenous tribes take dynamite, throw it in the water, explode. That is absolutely illegal. So something happened, and it's shocking that the Department of Environment can't yet determine what happened. Well, we expect them to find out and to get to the bottom of it. They should have already by now been able to say what caused it, but then can't say maybe who yet, because they have to do the proper investigation. But let's see what happens with that. Now, I have two more topics that I want to talk about. One of them is a motorcycle accident that occurred late yesterday evening or last night. And this happened on Mahogany Street in Belize City. No motorcycle supposed to go fast in the city. But that motorcycle accident was very devastating. It was a terrible accident. And when I was following it first, it said that one person died. And then when I got up this morning to look at the news again, we are told that it is 2 persons that passed away on the scene, and that a third person passed away in the hospital. So my condolences to the family or families that lost loved ones on that motorcycle accident. I am always puzzled, my friends, when motorcycles crash into each other. 2 a.m. in the morning, were they intoxicated? Were they racing? I don't see how Mahogany Street could be a street where people would actually decide to race. Were they going in the same direction? I don't believe at all that two motorcycles will have head-on collision, and we've seen that in our country. I will not call the names of the person. We have showed a couple of pictures, but I want to encourage Belizean people again to be careful on motorcycles. Motorcycles are and will become more and more powerful and more useful because of fuel prices, because of ease of moving through traffic. But motorcycles are killers, and you should always wear a helmet. Always be careful about a motorcycle. If you are in a vehicle, you are surrounded by metal, you are in a cavity that most vehicles that are properly built have a survival space, so that if a vehicle crash and you get crushed, the last space that gets crushed is where the driver and passengers are. So a vehicle is built where even in the case of an accident, the cabin remains like a cave. Motorcycles don't have that. You are exposed, hands and feet, head, you are fully exposed on a motorcycle, which can go as fast as vehicles. And we see many young people, especially young men, taking the kind of risk on motorcycles that they ought not to take. I would really love to see less accidents happening in our country as it relates to motorcycles. And finally, before I go, it is 8:54. I never expect to talk so long because the matters of the day progress. Pastor Victor Hernandez will appear in Supreme Court in Punta Gorda today to have mitigation and his penalties read to him. He has been found guilty, 2 counts of rape, 1 count of sexual assault. And so he has been found guilty. So we are no longer at the stage where he has been charged. He is now guilty. And today, the sentencing is going to take place. So that will be in our newscast tonight. It's a very sad day. I will say we love him. However, the courts have made that very clear determination. The woman, she is getting counseling. She is surrounded by a group of Christians, by her church. Her family is being supported. I'm fully aware of that. And so we are grateful that even in this most difficult time, she is receiving the spiritual and emotional support that is needed. So mitigation is going to take place where people are going to go to the stand and speak on behalf of Pastor Vic Hernandez, asking the court for leniency. Please allow those people who feel led to do so to do so. Please, this is a part of our judicial process where it is the responsibility of the court to balance mercy with grace, and yet justice must be carried out fully. And so there's appeals process. All of these things are open and available, but today is sentencing day. Please allow people who want to go speak on his behalf to do so freely. That is a part of our system. I've said it already, but I'm repeating it just so that that the proper process from beginning to end can take place. And so I will leave you with that today. From all of us here at Rise and Shine, God bless you, Belize. See you tomorrow.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef.